All right, we're going to be talking about air masses and fronts today. So our objectives for this lesson are, what are the main types of air masses in North America, and what are the main types of fronts? If you want to follow along in your book, there's a lot of good pictures there too, different diagrams. If you want to understand it better, it starts on page 72. So the four types of air masses in North America are maritime tropical, continental tropical, maritime polar, and continental polar. So you can notice over here in this picture where most of these air masses start. That doesn't mean that's where they stay. Air masses move, but this is where they're coming from. So our tropical air masses, as we know, tropical usually means it's warm. So when we say it's a tropical air mass, they're warm. But maritime means it's wet and warm. So you'll notice those are coming from both of the oceans. So those are off the coast. Then we have continental tropical. So they're dry and warm. And so we can assume that these aren't coming from an ocean because they're dry. They're coming off of a land. Then we have maritime polar. So those are cold air masses again. Maritime tropical came from the south and the South Oceans, so they're warm and wet. But maritime polar, also coming from the oceans, but they're more northern, so they're wet and cold. And then you have continental polar, which is cold and dry. Okay, so this connects back to the section about winds, because those winds are what are moving these air masses across the United States. All right, so when you're looking at a weather map, and these are probably familiar to you, this is how they show different types of weather fronts. So these are how the air masses are moving and how they're meeting with each other. Okay, so those air masses, when they meet, they form four different types of fronts. And fronts are usually what's causing our weather. So how the fronts form are caused by characteristics of air mass and how the air masses are moving. So the first type of air mass, or front, and if you're following along in your book, I'm now on page 76, 77, is we have a cold front. So this is when your cold front is moving quickly and it's now overtaking a warm front. So that warm air then rises above that cold front so they can move past each other. This is going to cause major cloud formation and also sudden changes, because cold air masses move so quickly. This is causing sudden changes. So this is when you get things like thunderstorms or rainy weather. Cold fronts don't generally last very long. The second type of front is a warm front. This is when your warm air mass overtakes a slower moving cold air mass. Again, that warm air moves above it, but in a different way. That it's not going to be necessarily a stormy, but it's going to be lightly rainy. And because warm air masses move slower than cold air masses, this is probably going to cause cloudy and rainy weather for several days. Then you have a stationary front. So think of this like an old Western standoff. Okay, so you have a cold air mass that meets a warm air mass, but neither of them is strong enough or moving fast enough to move past each other or move the other one out of the way. So again, you're going to get cloud formation because of the different heating and cooling of the air. So you're going to get cloud formation, and you're going to get things like rain, snow, and fog. And the most involved front is the occluded front. Occluded front. Okay, the warm air mass is caught between two cooler air masses. So you have a cold air mass moving one way and another cold air mass moving the other way, and that warm air mass is caught in between them. Those two cold air masses push that warm air mass upward. That's cooling the air down here where we're living, but warm air up here, we're going to get rain and snow because of it. So how you might see this is there's air masses and fronts moving through all the time and not just one type. So obviously on this map, we can see that there's a cold front moving this way, there's a warm one moving this way, and those different fronts are causing storms down here in the south. We don't have any fronts. We have a front that just moved through. So we have some pretty clear weather right now. Okay, but there's another front moving through off of the ocean onto the land by Oregon and Washington.